Where are we going, Bella?
The hospital.
What are we going to do at the hospital today?
Get the tubing.
We're going to get a new tubing. Shimmy, shimmy. You got it. You got it. Arm over. Turn the body.
Christopher was born on October 31st, and he's actually a surviving twin. He had a twin brother, Jacob Alexander. They were born very prematurely. They were born at 24 weeks and 4 days.
Our daughter is Bella. She's 5 years old now. She has Chiari malformation, which is compression on the back part of her brain. She had surgery the first time when she was 16 months old, hoping to correct her balance and her sleep apnea and her swallowing difficulties. It only fixed her balance.
This is my son, Zach. He's 15 years old and just a normal, everyday teenage boy. Columbus Day weekend, he started showing signs of having a cold. Took him to our local emergency department on October 8th. And after about 3.5 hours there, they concluded that it was just one of those little fall viral colds that was going around. They'd seen a lot of cases and sent us home.
When we went into the NICU, Christopher was immediately put on the jet. He wasn't breathing very well on his own. Jacob, on the other hand, was just on a regular oscillator. And he was pretty strong, very feisty. Christopher was very, again, mellow, just very not responsive. So the day after Jacob passed away, Christopher suddenly started to flourish.
A lot of the other things that we're still dealing with were reflux and their apnea. We were just kind of finding those out, but the most obvious thing right before surgery was just out of nowhere. She'd just walk and just fall over for no reason. Pretty nerve-wracking, not knowing why your kid just out of nowhere would fall and smash their head into the wall or the floor, and you'd have no indication it was coming. It would just happen out of nowhere.
She's had 2 brain surgeries, but she's also had her tonsils removed. She had her feeding tube placed and then a feeding tube revision.
Later that evening, the symptoms got much worse. We went back to the ED, and he collapsed at the nurse's desk. I only remember one doctor, and she's like, "This kid is blue. Does anybody have a pulse?" I gave him some kind of medicine, and they intubated him, and they ran with him. They were calling his diagnosis viral myocarditis, which is an infection that attacks the inner muscles of his heart.
Because this is actually, they were our second pregnancy. Our first pregnancy also ended in an early birth, and the twins then were born at 20 weeks, and we lost both of them. We've lost 3 children, and he's our sole survivor. When you see a child struggling for their life, and every day is a struggle, like there were days that he had to be bagged. It was a long road. We spent 141 days in the NICU, and of the 141 days we were there, 141 days. We never left his side. Being a parent, watching your child almost die, and even being a parent holding your child while they die.
And then Thanksgiving Eve, there was talk about us possibly even being discharged. And by 4 o'clock that afternoon, all of a sudden he just really took a turn for the worse. December 8th, Dr. Tom comes in He looked at both of us and he's like, we have a heart for Zach. And he will be completely ready with his chest open when that heart comes into this hospital. I don't know why this happened. It's just you got a cold and it just attacked your heart.
It's scary, stressful. You almost feel like it becomes normal, if that could be normal. But she's such a brave little girl that it almost made it a little easier because she just took it on.
She's just a little trooper and she's never really known any different. She just drives on, and we've actually gotten so used to it. When you ask us how many surgeries and different things, we just don't even really think about it. It's just kind of been our life for the last 4.5, 5 years. At one point, Isabella was on, I think it was 10 different medications that she would take 14 times a day, and even just the copays for those would really be quite a burden.
How do you stay there and take care of your child when they're going through all this? And I'm out of work, and I was afraid that I was going to lose my home and just everything.
When they were born so prematurely, we weren't prepared for them to be here that soon. We had been preparing for twins. We knew that once they were born that I would be staying home, so I wouldn't be working, and Lisa would be working full time. At the time, we were working with jobs that didn't offer any kind of benefits. No medical leave, no kind of benefits. So we had been saving and anticipating, the birth of the twins. When they were born, it was a surprise, very traumatic. So now we found ourselves in a situation that we had to be at the NICU, which meant neither one of us was going to go to work. After Jacob passed away, we definitely weren't going back to work. So the only way we knew that he would come home is if we were there. That was important. So about mid-December, financially, we started to run out of money. We literally were to the point where, what do we do? We need to be at the hospital, but we have to pay rent. So unless the hospital is willing to relocate us into his room, something's got to give. At the end of December, Lisa tried to go back to work at least part-time. Again, we knew that being at the hospital was so important. He needed us there and we needed him. So, sorry, Carla put us in touch with Hayat Kids, and I actually spoke to Caitlin, and she was just amazing. They offered to help us with some of the financial burden, which again was a godsend, because in all honesty, if it hadn't been for the generous donations from Hayat Kids and the donors that contribute to this, I don't think that Christopher would have made it.
And Christopher thinks so himself.
The organization helps me pay my rent. Zach is looking at a full year of a lot of outpatient clinic visits back down in New York City. And so just knowing that I have a vehicle to be able to drive him, to get him to these appointments, is very crucial for me. I honestly don't know where I would be right now without this organization.
They helped pay our bills so that we could stay with Bella while we were in the hospital. They took that stress away from us. allowed for us to take care of our daughter, take care of our boys, and not lose our house.
Finances can be such a burden, and to have that off your back is just amazing.
Wow. I often I'm so emotional because they've done so much for us. So sometimes even till this day on my way home, I often think about, you know, how great they were to us and Christopher, and how we wouldn't be able to make it without them.
The wonderful thing about IAC Kids is not only the financial support that they were able to provide our family, but the emotional support too. And I know I said that, you know, Christopher wouldn't have made it if it hadn't been for them, and I wholeheartedly, we both believe this, because as I was saying, when you're watching your child struggle for life, if they don't have the support with them, if they don't feel the love with them, they have nothing to fight for. And he's a feisty little one, and he's growing so quickly, and he's learning so much, and he's just a very happy baby.
He's very intelligent too, huh? You're
He
so
loves
smart.
to smile, he loves music, he loves people. He's just all over the place, and he's the light of our life.
It was amazing to just to see him in his PT, you know, doing jumping jacks and riding a bike, and this heart is he's bringing my Zachary back to me.
And it's because of the donors that this little boy is here today. It's because of your donations and your gift. I mean, you're really giving a gift of life in a sense. And look at this little guy. He's the reason. He's the reason you donate. Him and kids like him.